Hi guys, so I've made this video to address some of the common questions surrounding the use of alternate picking and economy picking. Economy picking, also known as directional picking as well. I've always known it's economy, and I'd never heard the term directional picking until recent times, but when I say economy picking, that's what I mean, okay? So economy picking, directional picking, same thing. So one question which pops up quite a lot is, will economy picking cause me to forget how to alternate pick? And the answer is no, providing that you have a fairly good grasp of alternate picking already. So it's like a disclaimer. Alternate picking is something that I would advise every guitar player to be able to do to a competent level. And by that, I don't mean you have to be fast. You don't have to develop it to shred levels. It's regardless of what genre you play, and regardless of what your ability is, and regardless of what ability you'd like to develop, every guitar player should be able to competently alternate pick without losing the thread of where they are. To be able to keep the alternating motion across strings without accidentally reverting to anything else, without accidentally inputting two downstrokes or two upstrokes, and vice versa. And if you have that kind of basic grasp on alternate picking, then no, going into economy is not going to somehow erase all that ability. It won't. So don't worry about that. So that's the honest answer to that question. No, economy picking doesn't cause you to forget how to alternate pick. The follow-up question to that could be, economy picking uses less motion to cross strings, right? So why should I bother with alternate picking? And that's a very valid question. But the answer to that goes back to the previous answer, which is everyone should be able to alternate pick at a competent and basic level, because there will be times that you will be confronted with something which can only be played with alternate picking. You might be confronted with a riff or a lick, most likely a riff, where the sound of that riff is very important and you have to maintain that sound, because inserting a hammer-on or a pull-off here and there or a sweep completely changes the tonality and the percussive nature of that riff. So there'll be times like that where you just have to use alternate picking, and if you haven't got that in your toolkit, then it's much harder to play that riff the way it needs to be played. So that's one small reason. There will always be a time somewhere where you do need alternate picking. And the other reason is to do with timing. Good timing is easier to develop with alternate picking because it's more percussive, and more, because of the percussive nature of the technique you're using up and down strokes to cross strings, it's easier to feel physically, because the motion is bigger, it's more physical, and it's not this kind of like flow, it's not this momentum that you use with a sweep. So the timing is easier to develop with alternate picking. So if you haven't already developed good timing with alternate picking, it'll be a much longer time coming with economy picking, if it comes at all, because there are many people out there who have who can economy pick very well, very fast, very fluid, but the timing isn't quite there, because as anybody who's tried the technique or uses the technique knows, it can be very hard to get the good timing right, because you sort of cascade down using momentum, and it's harder to regulate. That's probably the right word for it. It's harder to regulate the timing with it. That's not an excuse to say you shouldn't use economy picking because it's hard to time. It's just something you should be aware of going into. Okay, this is the question which everyone is probably looking forward to, but in my mind is probably the least important question, and that is, which is better? Okay, alternate or economy? And I would follow that up with, better for what exactly? When we say better, what does that really mean? But the two kind of areas really, which we know what we're talking about when we say that, we're really talking about speed, aren't we? Let's be honest, speed, and to a lesser extent, tone. So when it comes to speed, okay, yes, it's true that using economy picking will allow you to gain extra speed in places with things, and if that's what you want, then yes, it is a very useful tool to develop that. The flip side of that coin is, if you think of all the great alternate pickers out there, Paul Gilbert, John Petrucci, Al Di Meola, John McLaughlin, okay? When's the last time anyone ever listened to one of those guys and thought, do you know what those guys could really do with more speed? So the great alternate pickers of this world were never lacking in speed. So it's not necessarily a reason to ignore alternate picking for a lack of speed, because that's not an issue ever. So that's speed dealt with. Now with tone, okay, you could say that yes, by its nature, alternate picking is more percussive, and some people have more attack than others. Some people have a very smooth kind of style of picking, whereas some have a more percussive, noodly sound. Yet with economy picking, there are people that can use economy picking and you can't tell. It still sounds like alternate, you know. So economy picking might give you a fluid, flowing sound, or it might not. You might still sound like you're picking. So tone, as always, is an issue of personal taste. And as we know, personal taste never settles an argument for which is better or worse, because taste isn't a truth. It's just something which is only true to you. So which is better? As you probably guessed, there is no answer to that question, but you probably knew that already. Okay, it really does come down to taste and what you're looking for. This leads me nicely on to the last question, and that is, do I need to choose between one or the other? And if you've been following this so far and haven't fallen asleep, then you're probably already guessing the answer is no. You don't have to choose. It's not a life decision. It's not a major choice. It's not like supporting a football team. It's not like supporting a particular political party. It's not like I'm a red or I'm a blue and that's the way I am for life. It's not like that. You don't have to say, I've invested all my time and energy and I'm going to choose economy picking or going to choose on. It doesn't have to be like that at all. You can use both, and loads of people do. I use both. Different tools for different jobs, and certain licks just scream out for economy or alternate. And if you're an alternate picker and you're wondering how to introduce economy into your playing, the best way is to do it lick by lick. Just apply it to certain licks. You don't need to overhaul your entire playing style and learn how to run through 3-note per string patterns using only economy picking. You don't have to do that. You can move on to that by all means, but I think the best way is just to apply it to certain licks, and I've always done it that way and it worked best for me. And that way you don't feel like you're having to overhaul your playing and support a new belief system or make a life choice. You know, you don't feel like, oh my God, I'm abandoning alternate pick and I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for economy. You know, it's not like that. So just apply it to small licks. I've even done some columns for Guitar World. I'll actually post the links below so you can see them. And I've got some small little licks that you can actually use to start applying economy picking to, and you'll see how it's not such a big deal. It really is just, you know, it's just a downstroke sweep here and there, or an upstroke sweep here and there. You don't have to become Frank Gambale overnight and abandon alternate picking, okay? So there you have it. Do you need to choose? No. You can use both quite happily, and it won't screw up whatever style you've already got, okay? So hopefully I've answered some questions and set aside any doubts that you have. If you're thinking of diving into using economy picking or directional picking, or if you're someone who's always used economy and feel like you're missing out with alternate picking, it's like I said, it's something I think everyone should have, but you don't have to develop alternate picking to like crazy levels, just to a competent level, so that you could play something mid-tempo without losing the thread of where you are, okay? So anyway, I've talked for enough. I'll probably have to cut this down, make it a bit more streamlined, otherwise people are just going to fall asleep. As always, guys, go to my website. I've got loads of great courses that can help you out. There's some free stuff on there too, so give them a whirl, see what I'm about. It's all about detail with me. I like getting into the detail and about the how and why and things work. So subscribe if you haven't done so already, and there'll be more stuff like this. And thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.